Hello and welcome to the last day of the final week of the WSIS Forum 2021. It is a pleasure to be here today, gathered with all those winners, champions, pioneers of the WSIS process. Before we start with today's session dedicated to the WSIS stock taking, we would like to invite the moderator to play the opening video.
Since January, after many successful months, the World Summit on the Information Society Forum 2021 has reached the final week. Gathering stakeholders from around the world, the WSIS Forum is the largest gathering of the ICT for Development community, providing a platform for stakeholders to collaborate, cooperate, and coordinate, highlighting the important role of the WSIS action lines in achieving the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. This virtual forum has featured many exciting workshops and sessions, addressing topical themes and issues related to ICT and development proposed by our stakeholders during the open consultative process. Discussing matters ranging from the role of mentorship, girls in tech, and women leaders during the ICTs and gender mainstreaming track, to the role of assistive technology in the educational development of children with special needs, persons with vision impairment, among others in the ICTs and accessibility for persons with disabilities and specific needs track. Visit our website for full access to previous sessions featured during the forum. In addition to these tracks, the WSIS Forum 2021 also features a high-level track, which gathers cross-sectorial high-level representatives to discuss the roles of ICTs as a means of the implementing of the Sustainable Development Goals and targets. The high-level track will culminate this week with a ministerial roundtable. During the forum, you've heard from the WSIS Action Line facilitators. Stay tuned this week for more insight about the current progress of their respective action lines in achieving the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. More insights about the forum are also available on our various social media platforms, which continue to provide current, relevant, and exciting updates and details about the forum. Additionally, we are pleased to announce that the WSIS Forum special track on ICTs and older persons initiated a special prize this year, entitled the WSIS Healthy Aging Innovation Prize, recognizing the leading innovations that specifically address the needs of 60-plus people to achieve and sustain an active and engaged life as they age. In addition to this exciting new development, in collaboration with the Global Coalition on Aging, WSIS has co-organized a virtual hackathon that focuses on how aging in today's increasingly digital world can be enhanced through the use and application of ICTs. ICTs have also played a crucial role in the COVID response. Look out for our video this week, showing how some of our stakeholders use ICTs to respond to the coronavirus pandemic. The innovative efforts of our WSIS stakeholders were also displayed through this year's 10th Jubilee edition of the WSIS Prizes, with the 18 winners being announced this week, together with the 72 WSIS Prize Champion projects. In addition, the winners of the WSIS Photo Contest have also been announced, chosen out of an impressive array of photos portraying the role of ICTs in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. As the forum culminates this week, we would like to thank our stakeholders for their participation. We are delighted to see the creation of lasting partnerships made during the forum, which will enable meaningful change around the world using ICTs for sustainable development. We would also like to extend a warm thank you for the efforts and contributions of our partners, without whom the WSIS Forum 2021 would not be possible. Thank you for joining us during this exciting final week of the WSIS Forum 2021, and we look forward to seeing you next year for the WSIS Forum 2022, taking place from the 30th of May to the 3rd of June.
Thank you very much and welcome back to the WSIS Forum 2021. This is the final week. We have started this journey in January this year, and today we have some of the grand finales, including the presentation of the WSIS stock taking. But before I introduce you to today's program, it is my pleasure to invite Mr. Malcolm Johnson, the Deputy Secretary General of International Telecommunication Union, to provide with his welcoming remarks.
Thank you very much, Vladimir, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome, and thank you for joining this session. The WSIS stock-taking process is a unique global tool for collecting information and regular reporting on successful ICT-related initiatives and projects that have made a real socio-economic benefit to people around the world, carried out by governments, international organizations, the business sector, civil society, academia, other entities, and coordinated by ITU. Now consists of over 14,000 entries. The WSIS stocktaking has had an outstanding year, starting with the launch for new calls in November last year, and thanks to months of promotion and engagement by the WSIS community. We have also organized numerous workshops and interviews promoting those who have contributed to the WSIS stocktaking, including the special ICT case repository on ICT responses to the COVID-19 pandemic. So let me thank you all for your contributions and commitment to this important segment of the WSIS process. It's been a very successful final week of the WSIS Forum 2021. We had the first ever WSIS Healthy Aging Innovation Prize winner on Monday. And what better year to introduce this new prize? The 18 excellent winners of the WSIS prize ceremony on Tuesday, the amazing 60 WSIS prize champions on Wednesday, and today we celebrate the success of this WSIS stocktaking. So congratulations again to all the winners and the champions, especially those present with us in this session. You truly deserve this international recognition for your efforts, and I'm sure it will help you with your future endeavors. WSIS stocktaking has also continued with the very popular WSIS photo contest, depicting how ICTs are advancing SDGs. We will learn more about this year's process and the results later in this session. So let me congratulate the three winners for their lovely photos depicting the value of ICTs. This session will also launch the WSIS stocktaking publications, including the global report, a special report on the coronavirus case repository, with examples of practices to meet the challenges of the pandemic. I invite you to explore these publications and make good use of them. Please continue contributing to the WSIS stocktaking process and join our efforts in promoting ICTs for development by sharing success stories which will support evidence-based international policymaking. We would highly welcome and appreciate your input on how to improve the stocktaking process in the future. So I wish you a very successful session and thank you for your attention. Vladimir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Malcolm Johnson. Thank you for being with us today, for being a pioneer of the WSIS process since its beginning. Thank you very much for all the support, the strategic guidance. It's really great to have you all these years guiding us and leading us to the successes that we are all proud of. So once again, I would like to share appreciation and look forward to your further leadership and guidance. We are now moving to the rest of today's session. And as Mr. Johnson mentioned, we have a lot of announcements, including those of the regular process related, such as WSIS stocktaking publications. So before we start with our first panelists, let me share the screen and show you what we have done related to the stocktaking general report this year. So just briefly, please note that the zero draft of the WSIS stocktaking report for 2021 is available online at the WSIS Forum website where the outcomes of the WSIS Forum is listed. This special report is a compilation of all those submissions that we have received so far, and we have launched this call in November last year, although the call for the WSIS stocktaking is an ongoing year-round. So please go to the WSIS stocktaking platform and submit yours, but not only yours, all those good, valuable ICT practices, initiatives around the world that you believe should be promoted as they are making impact and achieving SDGs. the stakeholder type you can see is pretty equally distributed, as well as those SDGs that our ICT projects are linked to. So 1,260 ICT-related projects from this year will appear in this report. Also, an integral part of the VICI stock-taking is the VICI Prizes contest, and we are right now celebrating its 10th Jubilee year. And in this regard, it is my great pleasure to invite our next and first panelist, who is coming from the VICI Prize winner 2021, Ms. Manisha Ochri-Nahata, Senior Vice President and Legal and Chief Sustainability Officer at the American Tower Corporation. Ms. Nahata joined ATC in 2005, where she focused on corporate governance and compensation matters, sustainability, public disclosures and investor outreach, security law matters, risk management, and public affairs initiatives. Prior to American Tower, Ms. Nahata was business law associate at the Law Lord, working with public and private companies on equity and debt, financing, mergers and acquisitions, corporate governance, and other general corporate security matters. Congratulations for winning the VICI Prize winning award, Ms. Nahata. Please, we would like to learn from you as the newcomer to the VICI Prizes and the VICI Forum. The ATC has already achieved the most remarkable result. Mr. Tom Bartlett, the president and CEO of ATC, has shared in his appreciation message at the recently held special VICI Prize ceremony the importance of us working together to create more digitally empowered societies. Bearing in mind ATC's corporate responsibility program built upon the 5 core pillars: ethics, people, environment, society, and performance, what is ATC's vision of sustainable cooperation among the multi-stakeholder ICT community in building resilient and inclusive societies?
I'd like to start by saying that American Tower is honored to be the recipient of the WSIS Prize for our Digital Villages program, especially given the high standard of entries in the competition. The WSIS Prize is a reminder that innovative solutions can extend the reach and benefits of ICTs in developing countries and untapping the potential for sustainable development. American Tower views ICTs as the backbone of the digital economy. The potential of ICTs to advance sustainable development in developing countries is unparalleled. For example, increased access to ICTs makes it possible to bring more women and girls online, helping bridge the digital gender divide. ICTs are also essential for a greener future. In the tower industry, the business model is inherently green given the reduced footprint of shared infrastructure as opposed to single-use assets. ICTs enable increased communications, which provide platforms for national, regional, and international multi-stakeholder partnerships and cooperation. Extending connectivity to rural and remote areas and increasing the resilience of urban networks directly impacts economic growth and social development. As you mentioned, American Tower's corporate social responsibility program consists of 5 core pillars: ethics, people, environment, society, and performance. It is these pillars that lead us to establish our Digital Villages program as a way to help bridge the global digital divide, digitally empowering those societies we serve and changing people's lives through technology. For those that are not familiar with our program, it leverages the communications infrastructure near our tower sites in India, Africa, and Latin America to provide broadband connectivity and ICT literacy to those communities. The Digital Villages are computer-equipped kiosks that use uninterrupted power supply and the broadband connection from our tower sites to provide communities with access to education, to increase digital literacy, and increase employability. In terms of ATC's vision for sustainable cooperation among the ICT multi-stakeholder community, we believe more collaboration is needed to face today's global challenges, including economic recovery after COVID-19, climate change, and inequality. ICTs remain among the most powerful instruments to combat these changes. Together, we can leverage our power to advance sustainable development. Going forward, ATC wants to forge creative, multi-stakeholder partnerships with like-minded organizations in the WSIS community looking to join us on this journey of building resilient and inclusive societies on a more global level. We are seeking to expand our efforts beyond promoting digital literacy to enhance employment and entrepreneurship opportunities, which we have successfully done through our Digital Villages program. We are looking to build global partnerships to broaden the scope of the program to create shared physical infrastructure that also provides access to other essential services such as electricity, e-health, e-government, and e-banking. Our involvement in the WSIS competition has shown ATC the impact that multi-stakeholder collaboration and multilateralism can have. The WSIS community is a great example of how the international community can rise to the challenge of sustainable development. We therefore look forward to working with the global WSIS community to create more digitally empowered communities where users learn without boundaries and expand their horizons through technology. Thank you.
Thank you, Manisha. We also look forward to be working with ATC. It is something that is crucially important, and this is what the ATC was awarded for, the International Digital Cooperation. And we welcome you and your community to the WSIS community. And once again, congratulate you and your team on the efforts that you're doing and the achievement you have made this year at the WSIS prizes. Once again, thanks for being with us, and keep in touch. Our next speaker is Mr. Sergey Dutov, CEO of the Global Challenge and Director of Business Development and Industrial Partners of the Skolkovo Foundation. Sergey is the founder and CEO of the Global Challenge initiative that aims to promote sustainable development goals among the high-tech community around the world. Starting in 2019, he launched the programs, tools, and roadshows of technologies supporting SDGs. In 2020, more than 280 technology startups took part in the SDG competition. 24 startups presented their solutions across Switzerland, China, Russia, and Singapore. Skolkovo Foundation showed interest in furthering collaboration with the WSIS Forum, and we would like to hear from Mr. Dutov as a landmark initiative designed to create a sustainable innovation ecosystem and foster a culture of entrepreneurship to support the development and commercialization of advanced technologies in the Russian Federation and beyond. What are the key priorities for the Skolkovo Foundation in the field of international development, and how can we, as the WSIS Forum and the Skolkovo Foundation, collaborate in scaling up conversations and partnerships related to the digital entrepreneurship and transfer of technology?
Thank you, Vladimir. Dear participants of the World Summit on the Informational Society Forum, Skolkovo Foundation is the biggest startup hub in Russia. We support more than 3,000 startups. And our key priorities in the field of international development are the following. We are proud to be the member of two largest United Nations initiatives responsible for sustainable development, such as United Nations Global Compact and Sustainable Development Solutions Network. This unique position among the development institutions allow us to accumulate and to support the technology startup solutions from Russia and all over the world that contribute to the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. We prioritize the promotion of the Sustainable Development Goals among the startup community and our corporate partners, as it has the potential to greatly affect to their ESG ratings. We offer offline and online international business missions with startup pitches and B2B meetings. We support the international operations of Russian startups, and with our soft landing program, we support foreign startups seeking to enter the Russian market. More than 170 international startups from 40 countries took part in soft landing program. And now I would like to share just 2 slides In 2020, we launched the Global Challenge Artificial Intelligence for Sustainable Development Goals program, a great partnership initiative that harnesses the potential of ICTs for achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. So, answering the question, how can we, as the Skolkovo Foundation and the VCs Forum, collaborate? We are glad to offer a global partner project, Sustain Tech Map, as a platform for scaling up conversations and partnership related to digital entrepreneurship and technology transfer. Sustain Tech Map is a map of technology companies that are addressing one or several SDGs, a unique tool allowing to aggregate and to visualize technologies to achieve Sustainable Development Goals. We offer our partners to nominate or add the relevant finalists of their contest to the map. For example, the VC's prize winners and ITU Innovation Factory winners. We could additionally promote them globally and provide the corporate world with the access to these solutions. An existing working prototype of the map is designed for AI solutions for sustainable development and can later on be scaled for other technological domains. We are looking forward to any further partnerships and proud to contribute to the common 2030 agenda for sustainable development. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Dutov. We would love to promote the VCS Prize winners and champions through your database. This is exactly the core process and the core objective of the VC stock taking that we started in 2004. We would also like to invite you to share all those good ICT practices that are advancing sustainable development goals with the VC stock taking, promote the VC prizes within your community, and let us also be the amplifier of your community on the global level. So we do appreciate your presence today, and we look forward to furthering our collaboration with the Skolkovo Foundation as well as with the American Tower Corporation. I would now like to invite all of us to appreciate another very important segment of the VC stock taking, which was launched 5 years ago. It's called the VCS Fora Contest. This is something that we started as an idea of really finding those relevant, impactful images from the ground that are depicting how ICTs are making impact. And we saw that often it's not really easy to look into find something that is really more of a raw material with less filtering, just telling us the story behind. So we started this photo contest as a part of the VC stock taking, another repository, and immediately it was successful. This year we had more than 100 photos submitted, and we are now proud to announce our winners, first presenting in this slide some of those photos that we have received in 2021. Once again, it is our pleasure to announce that this is photo contest winners in 2021 in the following slide. So the first winner is the photographer Bidyaran Behuria from the Views India, location as listed in Odisha near Patia Big Bazaar. And the photo description available on this slide. Congratulations to our winners and to one of our panelists who will join us later, Gita Mehta, who will be presenting in more details this photo. So once again, congratulations to the incubating the next generation of digital leaders with Raspberry Pi. The second winner in the VCS Photo Contest 2021 is ICT use among micro, small, medium-scale enterprises by Akwasi Owusu Sarpong. The Ghana Investment Fund for Electronic Communications has shared this photo from the ground, depicting how women in Africa are using ICTs for e-business. Congratulations to the Ghana Investment Fund for Electronic Communications. We would now like to move to the third winner of the Visis Photo Contest. Congratulations to Victor Casillas, a photographer, for sharing with us the winning photo, Stay in Contact. We have the pleasure to be joined by Victor today with us. And Mr. Casillas is a professional photographer, a visual artist, a photojournalist, an activist and writer with 35 years of experience with international projection, particularly in the area of environment, human rights, scientific and Mexican traditions, which has received the national and international awards. He has been recognized by the United Nations and the Queen Elizabeth II, government of Mexico, and others for his work, which spread throughout the world with 120 winning prizes, 350 exhibitions, and 100 publications in books and magazines in 26 countries of the world. So congratulations again, Victor. It's great to have you with us. We would like to invite you to share appreciation message. How do you feel about winning this award? What is the story behind your photo? You are mute, Victor.
Hello, hello. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now. Please go ahead.
Okay. Well, I'm very happy about winning the photo contest. It is very early here in Mexico. It's 5 in the morning, but it's worth it. Well, I like going to the street and taking photos from people and different emotions. And I was walking downtown Guadalajara, and I saw a teenager looking outside his window, the second floor. And the composition, I like it a lot because it was like an old building, and there were some curtains with heart-shaped designs, and this teenager, he was trying to get maybe a better sign outside the window, but he also seemed kind of lonely. He needed like some companion. Maybe he was trying to reach someone by his phone cell. And the expression of the teenager, I like it a lot. He was like kind of alone or lonely, but also the composition of all the photo, the old building, the curtains of heart shape, and it takes me to make some reflections. You know, technology and information and communication has helped us a lot to stay in touch with humans in a long distance, and also to get information, fast information, and also in emergencies, you know, we can stay in touch. But we have to recognize to have a balance with technology and information and communication between technology and human relationships, because right now people are depending a lot on technology, and sometimes they get lost in human relations to stay in a close relation. And so we should get the best of technology and get a good balance to make the society better. And in that way, it's a well-balanced way to do it, you know. And there's a lot of things to make a reflection about technologies, you know, like how much does it help to society, and how democratic it is to poor countries, and it has to be you have to get it closer to poor communities, and but we have to also work on addictions on technology, and to remember that the human race has to be centered in the human relations. Taking technology as one of the way to help society, but we have to get a well balance about that.
Thank you very much, Victor. Thanks again for being with us. Congratulations on winning this award. Moreover, congratulations on all the work on depicting life through the camera. The power of ICTs is also something that we see that in the past only few photographers were out there being able to take photos from everyday life around the world. Today, with our mobile phones, we're all becoming photographers. Not to say that we are as artistic and maybe that all of us are best. Still, having this opportunity to really share photos and videos from the ground in a simple way, uploading it online really helps a lot. Thanks again, and we would love to see more photos from the ground in the Mexican tradition, but also in the region and in the world being submitted to the future Visis Photo contest. We also would like to use this opportunity and congratulate to all other Visis Photo contest winners, to also Visis Photo contest finalists, and to all community of the Visis stock taking and Visis prizes champions and winners who have been awarded this year. The Visis stock taking process puts participants right at its center, and that is what makes the Visis movement so powerful. Its new feature, launched in April 2020, came as a need of the community to share their ICT practices in responding to the ongoing coronavirus pandemic. We have encouraged everyone to share their stories. And in our first edition of the Visis stock taking special report, we had more than 200 ICT stories that made some impact during this pandemic. And since then, in the ongoing call, we have received 480 submissions. This is really a great repository for all of us to explore and see how ICT practitioners around the world, government sector, private sector, civil society, academia, are making the use of ICTs in creating impact. It is a living international repository, and the call for action, as I mentioned, is still open. We invite all of you present today in this session and all those panelists, of course, to share your projects and show how the world is using ICTs to respond to COVID-19. The aim of this repository is to help individuals and the communities around the world to continue to partner, collaborate, and implement in these exceptional pandemic circumstances through the use of ICTs. All the submitted projects will be presented not only in the reports, but also throughout the Visis Forum and beyond in the Visis talks and the Visis special virtual interviews. So please continue submitting, and we look forward to promoting the good work. I would now like to just briefly present the updated document that we have produced and which will be available online shortly after this session. Some of the basic infographics also presented here, submissions by the stakeholder type. We see that most of them, actually a third of them, came from the government entities. We know the governments around the world had to put a lot of effort in creating various e-governance services, e-business services, e-learning services, e-health services, but others have also contributed primarily from the private sector and then followed by the civil society. We can see the differences of the first report and the second report, also available in some simple analysis that will be available in this publication based on the different stakeholder type, but also based on the global distribution, regional distribution of submissions coming from different regions, but still the largest one coming from Asia and Australasia.
So I believe Vladimir is having technical difficulties. He got disconnected. While we wait for him to reconnect, we will share a documentary about the WSIS Forum.
In December 2019, the world was largely unaware of the obstacles it would soon face as the novel coronavirus began its spread. Fast forward almost a year and a half later, over 106 million people contracted the virus, with over 2.3 million having passed away. Social distancing, wearing masks, using hand sanitizer, and staying home have become the new norm as governments, companies, schools, and individuals have learned to navigate the new way of life, a life amid the pandemic.
2020 was a very special year.
It's a historical year for all of us.
The coronavirus has affected the global community in various ways, even though in varying degrees.
In relation to the daily life, society faced a situation in which students who are not able to go to the schools, they have to use remote teaching or remote education to interact with their teachers, to learn. Also, the businesses have been impacted by this virus. Many shops, many businesses, many small businesses have been affected.
With the enforcement of the lockdown, travel on water, rail, and air routes is banned, and all sort of road transportation is being suspended. All non-essential organizations, business, and educational institutions are closed, except for pharmacies, groceries, and other unavoidable necessities. And the impact on my work actually underlies the last statement I am mentioning, that is, other than pharmacies, almost everything were being closed.
That's broad different circumstances, because before we didn't actually plan for this period, like having 6 months locked in homes,
where we were limited in the way we were able to move and to work.
Not everybody had the kind of space available at their home dedicated to them that they could turn into office. Several of our team members had a couple of siblings, or even in some cases parents, who also had to do work from home. And initially, because of those inefficiencies, it meant that we were spending more time in front of the screen. And because there was no 9 to 5, technology failing, internet not being available, electricity shutdowns, and outages just meant that not everybody was available at a regular time, at a scheduled time. People were working late night. And then the fear of the pandemic and the virus, all of that, I think, took a toll on many of our team members. But some of the positive things that came about is it allowed us to look at our product and solution and make some fundamental changes and reach out to bigger and larger audiences.
Initially, it was a bit difficult to adjust to a new situation, but we all humans have a great tendency to adapt to the situations and make the best use of it.
From our point of view, we didn't even try to do this. We understood quite early that we need to propose something new, something different, and something which will be actually adapted to the situation. So to be very short, it allowed us to bring new blood, I would say, to the community, but also to invent things and to go with the innovation.
Pretty much as soon as COVID-19 happened, we had the idea for a program for volunteers in New York City to teach students in India in conversational English once a week over Skype. But very quickly after, as Gita mentioned, the digital centers closed all across the world in India, the ones that we helped sponsor, we realized, hey, a lot of students aren't getting that consistency that they were getting before. So using our app and our online platform, we crowdsourced volunteers from all around the world, from New York, from Canada, from the UK, from Japan, from India, and so on, to serve as mentors to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of students in India every single week in conversational English classes over Zoom. And what made this particularly remarkable is our app was set up in a way that every single class that took place had a Zoom link in it that anyone could go in and watch. This allowed people who were a little nervous about maybe becoming a volunteer to just watch a few classes, get an idea of what things would be, and then join. And before long, they were teaching classes every single week.
Normally, we visit schools to introduce our technology, and then we train the teachers how to use it. And when the pandemic started, we could not go and visit them, and we couldn't also go to rehabilitation centers or schools. So in the beginning, it was very difficult for us to keep up with our work, as we couldn't enter schools or engage with children. And also we couldn't engage with parents or teachers in the same way that we were used to. And specifically for children with disabilities, the majority are still trying to find the right tools to stay and learn at home. And so we decided to develop our learning platform and our learning software for any student that needed also hardware, that is our keyboard. And for example, we can ship the hardware, and the solution we can let them use while they are at home. So we do like a virtual learning, or we do the remote schooling with them.
One of the biggest challenges we faced was around funding and the financial resources. We are an impact-oriented startup, and we're still sort of in the phase of improving our business model, our delivery model, our payment models, and building the ecosystem slowly. So we rely on the investment that we receive from our funders, and also from donor-supported or corporate-sponsored projects that we do. And many of them were halted immediately when COVID-related economic shutdown happened in Pakistan. So those were some of the challenges that were quite severe. Additionally, specifically talking from the context of ICT and its adoption, while we had some of the tech tools, handy, at the end of the day, you deal with humans, and in a way, many of the ICT tools that we have available to us, they helped to mitigate some of those, but at the same time, they also were not able to address many of the challenges that exist. Like one simple challenge that we have is we have work from home and work from the office, and just a simple thing of timekeeping and timesheet management and sort of recording activities, that's a huge challenge. It's not because the tools are not available. The tools are available. It's just that our team and the behavior is so different from what they're used to.
As you know, almost 100% study group workings has been done virtually. And that has a good point and bad point. Good point is that attendees from developing countries increased. But of course, virtual meeting has a lot of difficulties. You cannot see the face of the participants, and we have no coffee time and everything. So we need to see how we can manage the virtual meetings in the future.
Yeah, the great challenges really were that people were not able to come to our digital learning centers. And also people were in panic mode. And also so many people who had gone to cities to earn a livelihood from rural villages, they had to come back because there were no jobs in cities.
Communities suffered, business closed. So it was very difficult to survive. Many people lost jobs, including us, of course, during the lockdown. As I said, we were not working. Even some people who were benefiting our programs, they lost some support from edifieds because they have not been working. That's how actually it became quite difficult.
Our business have been interrupted, our projects have been put on hold. We had to cut costs and in so many different places, but I think we're just part of the community. it's a stage that we had to pass alongside the rest of the society.
It's been a challenge to coordinate the efforts of different government entities because each ministry is looking after one specific issue. For instance, health and mobility are not necessarily in charge of developing the same kind of programs, obviously, but the digital agency has aimed to coordinate and bring together all of the parties involved in order to make sense to the public and have people understand the strategy and the logic behind the decisions that are being made in order to contain the pandemic.
The first challenge I would like to talk about is related to resistance to change. Some of our customers, also the public, not all the public, are already literate regarding using ICT applications and using ICT for accessing information or interaction or interacting with others. So at the beginning, we had this kind of resistance to change. The other challenge is also related to the cost that are related to this kind of applications. In fact, our system or our service is a free service given to the public and decision makers. But for the cost, we are facing the running cost of the cloud services, the specific applications that we use that need specific licenses. So this kind of cost was a challenge for us. Finally, since our platform is freely available with open access, this sometimes allowed other people to, let us say, take the information that we publish. I don't want to say steal the information, take some of this information and publish them on their resources, sometimes without mentioning the source. So this was another challenge.
We all know that the activity went online all over the world with the coronavirus, and of course, with the online activities, cybercrime activities traced as well. And well, people went online from quite often without having the knowledge how to behave safely and what are the challenges online that they can face, for example, scams, but also, for example, Zoom booming and et cetera and et cetera. So the victims, cybercrime victims trace. And we said, well, listen, we do have this knowledge. We do work on cybercrime and cybersecurity awareness for the last 10 years. We do have this young community of the youth ambassadors that we call Youth IGF movement. So let's put things together. Let's use also their knowledge, their motivation, and let's help people, assist victims of cybercrime on what to do in the first minutes or first hours when they became a victim of cybercrime.
The whole Corona crisis was like an accelerating process for this kind of technological evolution.
I believe that technology becomes a greater equalizer, the vantage tool to heal the soul of a nation and to create opportunities for a more hopeful future, especially where technology becomes the middle path where all of us can walk through in spite of the physical indifferences or circumstances we face.
For Farm Radio International, the center of our mission as an organization dating back more than 40 years is to support radio stations and radio broadcasters in order to be able to deliver essential services to their audiences. And we're somewhat unique in terms of the role that we play in that sense. We have more than 1,000 radio stations that are part of our network in 41 countries in sub-Saharan Africa. So the pandemic has made it more clear to us than ever that people rely on radio and mobile phones as a trusted form of information and communication. And the pressure on broadcasters, especially during the early days of the pandemic, was very, very intense. The kind of support systems that we were able to deploy in order to support such large numbers of broadcasters, to be able to be that trusted voice and that source of security and information and communication for millions of rural residents in sub-Saharan Africa was quite profound.
I think the greatest benefit of ICT is network. I think, in one word, that kind of connection has really allowed for the world to live through this pandemic. I can't imagine how in 1918, when you didn't have any of these ICTs, the world must have come to a halt. Now today, the economic situation isn't as bad because people have been able to produce, people have been able to consume. The world has, in a way, continued to live on. We created a vaccine in record time. So in many ways, some things were produced faster than they've ever been produced. And this was not the case 100 years ago. And I think ICT is the only thing, because humans haven't changed otherwise. And it's because of technologies like the ones we're using right now. It's allowed us to build millions of networks, and each network, when it connects with another network, and it just has a multiplier effect. And I think that kind of improvement in scale has allowed for humanity to make unprecedented progress during the pandemic.
I always say that there is always something good in bad, right? So I think what happened was this virus started spreading so fast, and it disrupted pretty much everything, and especially in the industry that I am in healthcare. And a lot of things had to be, all the priorities had to change, and the way healthcare has been delivered had to rapidly change because everyone was trying to limit face-to-face interactions. And the speed of innovation and speed of adoption of new technologies, new business processes was, I think, applaudable.
Without ICT, nothing would be possible.
I can say that without the help of ICT as an enabler, this couldn't be applied before the pandemic. All these activities, in fact, were parts of plans, future plans before the pandemic. And they planned to achieve them within a period of, let us say, 5 years. But within less than a year, the ICT and also the pandemic accelerated the process, and this became now the new norm.
In spite of the many challenges that arose as a result of COVID-19, stakeholders of the WSIS Forum remained unquestionably resilient. We would like to thank all who participated in our WSIS COVID-19 ICT case repository interviews and workshops, including those not shown on screen.
Thank you very much for witnessing this documentary prepared by the WSIS team. It's only a teaser. It has been compiled from interviews and workshops dedicated to showcasing some of those who have contributed to the new WSIS stock-taking repository on the coronavirus. We have seen how WSIS stakeholders rose to the challenges by creating cross-sector collaborations and through best practice sharing. Just to remind you, this is the premiere showcasing. We are still working on the full edition cut, and we will be sharing this with the community online, on our websites, to social media. We do invite all of you to also promote it. Thank you all for contributing. Some of those featured in this documentary are also our panelists today. And just to mention once again that this is really the essence of the WSIS stock-taking process. It is exactly what is needed to defeat COVID-19 and advance these SDGs. We need to be acting promptly and share and promote the good practices around that we have been all conducting. Since the launch of the WSIS process in 2003 and 2005, the world has undergone an unprecedented digital transformation that is accelerating social and economic progress across the globe. And never has this been more evident than during the COVID-19 pandemic, where ICTs have been essential to keeping societies and economies running everywhere. Today with us in the next segment of this session, we have some of our panelists who will be telling us more about how ICTs are making impact during the pandemic. Before we move on to our next panelist, it is also a moment that I need to apologize for disconnecting. And instead of having the documentary at the very end of this session, we actually welcomed it in the middle. And perhaps this was a great introduction to the next segment. And I would like to now invite our first panelist in this segment, Dr. Haruo Okamura, high-speed optical transmission and standards expert, long-time contributor to the WSIS process and also to the International Telecommunication Union, various working and study groups. He's currently a president of the Global Plan and the developer of Okamura model. It is a low-cost optical cable solution for remote areas that is already being used in Japan and is now being implemented in bringing Wi-Fi to Mount Everest and Annapurna region of Nepal. Dr. Okamura, emerging technologies such as 5G, artificial intelligence, blockchain, cloud computing, IoT, and many others have shown its potential to respond to some of the pandemic challenges. What is yet to be done in order to achieve their full potential? And what is the importance of sharing experiences, raising challenges, and providing solutions through international repositories such as WSIS stocktaking? Dr. Okamura, your microphone is on mute.
I think the most important point is the change of the mindset of people who is not yet been very much paying attention to closing the digital divide. And therefore, I was working for closing the digital divide by using ITU standardized optical cable solution. Sorry, this is a little bit vague answer, but I really see that people are seeking revenue, but do not paying attention to the latter half of the globe who are suffering from, the digital divide and poverty and many difficult points. Could this be your answer?
Thank you very much again for being with us. Your experience and expertise is invaluable. Although these emerging technologies are yet to be developed, and some of the ICT factors are perhaps more oriented toward younger generations, I believe the cross-generational discussion is a must in the ICT field, and we need to really be working together in getting all on board to best understand the challenges in order to provide the solutions. So once again, thank you, Dr. Okamura. We look forward to be continuously working with you. The next panelist with us is Ms. Gita Mehta, president of and co-founder of the Asia Initiatives. Ms. Mehta is an adjunct professor at the Architecture and Urban Design at the Columbia University in New York, and have received her degrees in Architecture and Urban Design from the Columbia University. Also, a PhD from the University of Tokyo, something that relates to our previous panelist. She is the president of Asia Initiatives, and her duties include the management of daily operations and relationship between the foundation with its local partners and outside vendors. But much more than that. I would like to ask you, Gita, ICTs have become an unifying thread that runs through all aspects of our societies and economies, especially during the pandemic. The organization you are leading has witnessed an internal digital transformation, and in order to continue coordinating and providing service to remote communities, what has changed in the way you run business before the pandemic and now? And are there any new innovations in the pipeline that you are designing and implementing in the future?
Thank you so much, Vladimir. As some of the earlier speakers have said, that even before the pandemic, we just understood that ICT is the key to reaching underserved communities in remote villages, in urban slums. So we were already gearing up for this. But when the pandemic came, we just had to hurry up and accomplish very quickly what we had actually proposed to accomplish in many, many years. So it was in a way a crunch time, but it was also an opportunity to really speed up and do what we were doing. And I'm just going to show a very brief slide presentation to just bring some of those points up. So here we go. Can everyone see my screen? Yes?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So, we have this digital community currency for social good. We call it social capital credits. And this is like a barter currency. People help their communities and they earn socks, and then they redeem it for their own education, healthcare, upskilling, and microcredit, and so on. So we do it in many, many sectors, including education. And also this is like a very simple thing. You do social good, you earn socks, you redeem them on education, healthcare, skill empowerment, and it's on an app, and we also have a web platform. And this is our winning picture. And this picture actually is showing, young girls in a very underserved area assembling Raspberry Pis, because one of the challenges of the pandemic was there were not enough digital devices in the hands of people. We have knowledge centers, but people couldn't come to them because of the lockdowns. So we decided to just get these very low cost devices in the hands of people. And the other thing is schools were closed. So we actually crowdsourced teaching through Zoom, actually. We put out a call worldwide for SOC buddies, and these are volunteers who are holding, very one-to-one or 1-to-3 sessions with our students and providing a very personalized substitute for the schools which were closed at that time. So all this was flexible to suit the students. So it was an exciting time. I cannot say that our work was perfect, because some people still were left out because they absolutely didn't have access to devices. But all our projects are actually run through digital, media and ICT. And this is, you can see here, is a Socratic dialogue going on before COVID, of course, where people play games and they decide their own earning menu for socks and own redeeming menu. So it's really a community currency. And we have these knowledge centers, we have an app, and the app and platform help encourage, record, verify, trade, and analyze socks. So we use persuasive technology for behavior change. And we have sockpreneurs, people who have earned a lot of socks. We can give them a grant to start small business. And this young lady started a small business in her community to actually make the craftsmen, enable the craftsmen to sell their products online. So I think that the digital bridging is really what is needed to bridge the huge divides in the society, income divides, social divides. So I'm just like an absolutely big believer in this. We've also used socks to help build rainwater harvesting structure in the pandemic because people lost their jobs. So we said, okay, that's fine. We are going to build, start resilience projects to start these long-term benefit projects like rainwater harvesting, pond desilting, and so on. And this is a project in Africa, in Ghana, in Kumasi, where we did this with the markets. And this is in Kenya, waste management through socks. This is in India, actually cleaning a whole river through using socks. So our digital currency for social good helps in many, many different ways, and also in ecosystem services, because ecosystem services, the people are really remote and they can't really be paid adequately. So they earn socks. And the amazing thing is that I like to differentiate between literacy and digiteracy, right? So even if people are not literate, they can learn digital technology very quickly and benefit from it. So that's what we focus on. Thank you. That is my presentation. But maybe that's a very long answer to what Vladimir asked me. Vladimir.
Thank you. Thank you, Gita. Congratulations on winning the award as a photo contest winner. Thank you for all the work you have done so far. A lot remains to be done. Thank you for your enthusiasm. Also say big thanks to all in your team, to Terence as well. He was also featured in the video. We'd like to hear more from him. This is Forum is working strongly also with youth. We are having an announcement later today at the closing ceremony, and perhaps Terence can also join and see how can he contribute more to what this youth and ICT's special track are yet to become. So once again, thank you very much. We look forward to be working with you. Our next panelist is Dr. Salah Al-Najem.
Hello, this is Okamura.
Oh, hello, Professor Dr. Okamura. Are you back? Would you
be... I lost my opportunity to make my presentation.
Oh, please. It is now you never lose opportunity at the VISIS Forum. So let's try to share your screen. Right now we see your desktop. Can you open the presentation that you would like to present?
Yeah, this one.
So right now we see your desktop. You need to stop sharing the screen.
Right now we see Victor's screen.
Oh, this is Victor's screen. Okay. Victor, can you please stop sharing your screen? Thank you. Dr. Okamura, can you please go ahead to share your screen?
Yeah. Is this, can you see my screen?
We can see your screen. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. I just lost my opportunity.
No, the opportunity is always there, as I said. Please go ahead, sir.
Yeah, the title is I cannot see the entire, but this is a broadband infrastructure for rural area digitalization, and that I think is IT standardized is very important. And as you know, the COVID-19 and digital divide today situation, there is two very important messages. One is from UN Secretary General. Digital divide is a matter of life and death amid COVID-19 crisis. The next one is UN developing program. The pandemic emphasized the digital divide and internet. So another message from the US Telecom CEO, 5G is wired wireless. The last 1 mile is wireless, but before that, optical backhaul solution is must in the 5G era, you may all know. And we are now doing a very, this is a conventional, optical cable installation, very, using heavy machinery and, lot of people, high budget and so on. But I have tried to standardize at the ITU for closing the digital divide by do it yourself manner. This is three ITU recommendations that I was working as editor. One is L.1700, affordability first concept for closing the digital divide. And then go to L.110, that is lightweight, robust optical cable for direct surface application. The cable can be, placed directly on the surface of the ground. That is, as you know, the most cost-effective way of installing cable. But to make it happen, the cable must be very robust. And I will talk it later. And the third recommendation is L.163. This is a cable installation of L.110 in a DIY manner. And as you know, L.163, the third one, was the most popular recommendation that is posted on the IT web like this. So particularly the developing countries liked this solution very much because this is most cost effective and you are allowed to place the cable on the surface of the ground. That's the most easy way of installation. And this slide shows the upper side is the optical fiber cable standardized at L110 at ITT. The characteristic, the feature is the stainless steel tube you can see here, very tough and completely welded stainless steel tube. By using a submarine optical cable technologies, the outer diameter of the cable, as you see, is only 11 millimeter. Very much lightweight and easy handling, but the stainless steel tube makes optical fiber completely protecting from, for example, animal biting or water or the moisture ingress. This is some test pictures. You can burn for a short minute, and the rat can not break the cable, and also you cannot see. This is a crash test. This is a temperature test, minus 50 degrees to 70 degrees. It was possible, all because of the stainless steel tube protecting completely optical fiber cable. This is the optical cable installation. You can lay it underground shallowly, or you can place on the surface, or you can even lay the cable from the air if the terrain is most difficult. Here is air suspending, okay, or you can go down the water up to 1,000 meters, or you can air suspend it. The same cable can continually placed in different manners like those. So this means cable construction cost is most cheap and cost effective. And this is a field trial installation confirmation. This is done in the west part of Nepal, Dur municipality in mountain area, about 1,300 meters high mountain village, connected hospitals, health centers, and others very effectively, successfully. Another trial been already done in Mongolia, very cold area, minus 40 to 50 degrees C in 2019. And this is operating very well up to today by using L.110 optical cable of ITU standard. This is the cost reduction example. Roughly 88% cost reduction has been achieved by using this technology. As you can see, the heavy machinery must be used, and underground pipe must be used to protect optical fibers, because conventional optical fiber cables has been not very strong, robust, so that you need this kind of underground pipe. But this costs a lot, and 88% cost reduction has been achieved in a DIY manner like this. 88%. This is a great advancement for people who live in developing countries waiting for the digital divide closing. This is another trial. You can see Mount Everest. The dotted line is the planned route for L.110 cable installation, about 42 kilometers. This has been thought that completely impossible, because the optical cable can never be, conventional cable can never be penetrated in this kind of a rough terrain area. And this is out the foot of Mount Everest. The cable drum is already arriving there, but unfortunately, because of the coronavirus, the project is now on hold as of today. So door opening solution for rural broadband has been demonstrated, and ITU standard optical cable solution bird against the digital divide and pandemics with simple low technology. so that the DIY is possible, cost reduction by 80% possible, and locals to quickly, widely install, maintain, and repair their own broadband connectivity with their pocket money, plus Universal Service Fund money, or grant or development bank money, or IT money. So I'd like to all audiences to support this solution, and maybe you could come up with a good opportunity for us to implement this all over the world, including developing countries and also developed countries. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Okamura. Thanks for the great work you do around the world, for continuing to contribute. We do hope that those exploring and learning about your project will reach out to you, and you will make essential partnerships to continue the project. We also hope that you will soon continue with the project once the health measures and circumstances of the pandemic allow you. So once again, thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Similarly to Dr. Okamura, our next speaker, Dr. Salah Al-Najem, Professor of Computational Linguistics and Natural Language Processing at the Kuwait University. Also the founder and CEO of Information Age Consulting. He received his degrees in computational linguistics from Essex University in England and worked as a consultant in numerous governmental organizations in Kuwait. As someone who is a professor, but also an entrepreneur, Dr. Al-Najem, how do you perceive the power of emerging technologies to respond to some of the pandemic challenges? And what do you believe needs to be done in order to achieve their full potential? What is the importance of the VC stock taking in this regard?
Thank you, Vladimir, for this opportunity, and I really appreciate this opportunity to talk about our efforts in utilizing ICT as an enabler. In fact, WISES represents a hub to share best practices in ICT utilization in all aspects of life, and to showcase the successful projects that utilize the ICT properly to help in building inclusive information societies and also achieve sustainable development goals. So ICT can help in accelerating the process of developing projects, ICT-related projects, can also help in reducing also the cost of such projects, especially when we talk about cloud computing, for example. In our project, which we implemented for handling social media interaction regarding social, economic, and political issues in Kuwait, which is Social Watcher. Social Watcher is an open access portal which gives reports, infographics, interactive dashboards using the techniques and applications of artificial intelligence, natural language processing, text mining, big data analytics and visualization, and also web service integration. We analyze the public opinion trends on social media regarding, as I mentioned, political, social, and economic issues in Kuwait. And through this analysis, we provide the audience and the decision makers with public opinion trends, the change in public opinion trends, the public sentiment regarding the social and political and economic issues in Kuwait through utilizing sentiment analysis for Arabic language through a system we developed, which is social intelligence, which allows us to classify and analyze through artificial intelligence and natural language processing if what is being said about a specific topic is mainly positive or negative or neutral through analyzing the words that had been mentioned. Also to discuss the top topics discussed in a specific time frame regarding a specific topic using topic extraction and text categorization applications of text mining. Finally, we deliver our analytics reports, infographics, interactive dashboards using our open access portal, which is a mobile-friendly web access portal, in a transparent, objective, and scientifically motivated manner. And in fact, we have also developed through or during the pandemic a cloud-based online indicator, which gives an interactive dashboard showing daily updated statistics about coronavirus in Kuwait. Also, it gives the top hashtags talked about corona pandemic in Kuwait. And this dashboard is available online. And also, we have also provided the audience with an archive, which is a daily updated and hourly based updated archive of Twitter trends in Kuwait, Twitter hashtags, trending Twitter hashtags in Kuwait, trending words, trending phrases, which is daily updated and hourly updated, in fact, through integrating with Twitter API. And this archive now is accessible freely online through our web portal. You can see the trending hashtags, words, phrases, every day, every hour, and also you can go back to our archive, which started in 2014. So you can select any time frame since 2014. All of these activities couldn't be applied without the help of cloud computing, cloud-based analytics, the usage of web integration or web services integration tools, and all these tools helped us a lot in providing these solutions in an effective manner, and also the usage of artificial intelligence, natural language processing, text mining helped us in analyzing the dialogues, what is being mentioned in social media, and helped us to provide the audience and the decision makers with insights and analytics about what is being said on the Kuwaiti landscape on social media.
Thank you, Dr. Al-Najem. Once again, congratulations on your achievement. Let me remind the community that University of Kuwait is the winner of the VCS prizes in 2017 in the category e-learning. And it's great to see that Professor Al-Najem is leading several posts and can combine the experience and expertise in both of his professions. Once again, thank you for being with us today. We look forward to continuously promote the work that you do, not only because you are the VCS prize winner, as we do promote our awardees of this global contest, but as someone who is recognized in VCS stock taking to be a hub, as you are mentioning, for sharing best practices. We do look forward to working with you on your further promotion and the promotion of all the good work that you are aware of. As I often mention to the VCS stakeholders, it is not just promoting our work, it's really promoting the good work out there. And you are our ambassadors who are actually out there amplifying the voice of the VCS stock taking and the VCS prizes and inviting everyone else to take an opportunity and share.
Thank you.
The next panelist is another PhD holder, Dr. Hannah Kenyan, a principal research fellow at United Nations University Institute in Macau. She leads the Migrant Tech Research Project, and since 2016, she has led a multidisciplinary team innovating and inventing ICTs to support proactive and consistent screening of workers in situations of labor exploitation and human trafficking. She has over 15 years academic and practical experience in the area of mobile computing, ICT for development, and human-computer interaction. Welcome, Hannah. Since the onset of the pandemic, VCS stock-taking response has reacted with the creation of new repository of ICT cases, collecting ICT projects and initiatives from around the world and on their response to the COVID-19. How do you see ICT regional response in Asia, sharing best practices with the global community and building partnerships in overcoming challenges?
Great, thanks for the question. So now I don't think I can speak on behalf of the whole of Asia, but I'm definitely happy to share my own experiences as a researcher in Asia. I hope to draw some points or best practices that I have learned that others can also draw in as well. So as a UN institute, our mandate is to undertake policy relevant research on behalf of member states and UN bodies. We share a similar goal to WSIS Forum in sharing policy relevant research at the intersection of ICTs and sustainable development. So the WSIS stocktaking has provided a great platform for us, like many others, to share best practices and seek further partnership. The work that I'm going to talk about is about using ICTs to identify cases of labour exploitation and human trafficking. One of the sectors that we focus on is identifying labour exploitation within supply chains of multinational corporations. So in this very short time, I'm going to share about a collaboration we've undertaken, bringing together UN, NGOs and private sector to assess working conditions. So talking about collaboration, our key collaborator in this work is the Mekong Club, an NGO based in Hong Kong that engages with and supports private sector to lead the fight against modern slavery. So this collaboration between UNU and the Mekong Club leverages the very different strengths that our institutes have to address this very difficult challenge. Let me just share my screen. I hope this will come up now.
We can see it.
Okay, great. So the question I was asked to discuss was about the importance of building partnerships to overcome challenges. And I wanted to share or start by stressing the importance of the sound understanding of the challenges that we are trying to overcome from the people who face these challenges. So in our work, this means multi-stakeholder consultations with all the different groups that are affected either directly or indirectly by, in our case, labour exploitation. For us, this means NGOs, public labour inspectors, private auditors, private sector and workers themselves. So in our initial work to understand what problems people had, we undertook surveys and interviews with a large cross-section of these stakeholders, and we found these 4 key problems were brought up. The language barriers, particularly with migrant worker communities, a problem with inclusivity and privacy in the interview process, inconsistencies in data collection, and a lack of coverage of all of the ILA indicators of exploitation. So another point I want to emphasize is the importance of co-designing solutions to the problems that are identified with this broad cross-section of stakeholders, as well as being responsive to changing practices. The tool of ours that was showcased in the repository is a prize audit, and we had developed it beginning in 2017, and then a cyclic process of prototyping and evaluating took place over a period of a year. In March last year, from that we came up with this solution of prize, which really just allows you to make question lists around common indicators of or questions about exploitation. We translate those into different languages which are common to the migrant worker communities. And then we put the interview process in the hands of the migrant worker themselves. So an auditor has an app on their phone and they take it to a worker, and the worker selects their language that they want to undertake an interview. We have an introduction video which states the purpose of the interview. It asks for consent to continue, and it demonstrates how to use the app. Then we cycle through these yes or no worded questions, and we come up with a screen which summarizes the indicators of exploitation that were identified. So in March last year, we were approached by a working group of multinational corporations who already were using this system, but now they had problems because of COVID. They couldn't get to, in some countries, they couldn't get to the factories because of movement restrictions. And in other cases, what happened is they could move, but now they wanted to collect more information. The prize was developed with flexibility in mind, so responding to that second part was very easy. We made new question lists, we translated our questions into different languages, then we pushed them to the auditor's phone. So next time they logged in with network access, they now could ask different questions. The second part was for cases where an auditor couldn't get to the field to be able to assess the conditions of work. So we had to shift our focus to support direct engagement with workers themselves. We were still aware of these communication barriers, so we designed a text-free interface to show workers how to use the tool. So that's kind of this screen over here, kind of covered up. Then the worker can scan the QR code and have access to the questioning functions themselves. So between March and May 2021, we've had over 6,800 interviews being undertaken in 15 countries in South and Southeast Asia. And this demonstrates the importance of these partnerships, that now the people who have the access in the field are able to use the tool themselves to assess working conditions. So from the auditor side, what happens is the responses to these questions get uploaded to their organization accounts. And from there, they can look at different indicators of exploitation that were raised. Auditors can drill down to each individual interview with a screen indicating each response to each question. And they can also perform high-level analysis of interviews to assess changing work practices over time. So this is our way of working together to try and respond to this very difficult problem of exploitative work practices in broad supply chains across all of the world. So I'd like to end here and just point to a Price.Solutions webpage if you want to have more information. Like WISIS, we are really interested in sharing best practices that we have learned so that other people can also learn from them and build on them. So most of our publications are available on this website.
Thank you very much, Hannah, for being with us. Thank you for sharing this very important work that you do. We would love to, again, extend our offer to further promote the work. Just reach out back to us. This is Stock Taking is here to be as inclusive and respond to those who are willing to work together with us and promote the good work of ICTs for development. As I mentioned, don't wait for the next WISIS forum, but already, reach out and we'll see how we can, create some spaces, still virtual, but spaces where we can turn things into training programs, in workshops, in master classes, in sessions, in panel discussions, anything that you think would benefit your work and those communities you are helping to support. So once again, congratulations and thank you very much for being with us today. Following our previous panelists from the senior management of private sector and civil society, also following those from academia, professors and senior researchers. The next panelist is Carla Velazquez, a regional coordinator nominated by REDES, the project implementing partner of the Association for Progressive Communication in Latin America. Carla holds her BA in International Relations for Autonomous Technological Institute of Mexico. She was one of the 15 people selected for the program Innovation for Equality organized by the Berkeley University and Prospera. She regularly participates in various international telecommunication forums and she advocates for the development of regulatory framework for community networks in Latin America. One of the WISIS action lines is enabling environment, which directly deals with the development of regulatory framework. And we're very, very happy to have Carla with us today. How do you see, similarly to our previous panelists, but now moving to the region of Latin America, Carla, how do you see ICT regional response in Latin America, sharing best practices with the global community and building partnerships in overcoming challenges caused by this pandemic?
Thank you very much for the invitation. And thank you very much for having me in this important session before closing this grand event, WISIS 2021. For my participation, I'm going to share my screen to give you some context around COVID-19 in Latin America. So now you must be able to see my screen.
Yes, please go on.
Thank you. So some of the measures that have been established for the containment and mitigation for COVID-19 have to do with the use of teleworking and online classes. So the internet has become an essential tool to cope with confinement. This has been very difficult because 35% of the population in the Americas region still doesn't have access to internet and remain disconnected, which is around 349 million people. So as you see, this is a very important issue in our region. And I am part of 3 organizations. So I'm part of Redes AC, which is an organization based in Mexico, where we accompany indigenous communities in their community processes, which includes telecommunications and ICTs. And I'm also part of Rhizomatica and IPC in the project Connecting the Unconnected. And we as an organization, we created a repository with the responses of community networks to COVID-19 that were collected from Argentina, Brazil, Colombia, Ecuador, Mexico, the United States, and Canada. So these responses are focused on community networks. And here I'm sharing with you a small introduction to community networks, which are bottom-up networks that are built collaboratively by groups of individuals who develop and manage new network infrastructures as common goods. They are managed collectively, and they're based on community needs and for community purposes. So I know that you don't have access to the presentation at the moment, and I hope you can get to see it afterwards, but here is the COVID responses that we gathered together. We have different responses from different organizations that are based in these countries. And as you see, it's very extensive, and I managed to gather them all. In the next slide, this is just like a very short glance of the responses. As part of Redes AC, we also work with different indigenous communities in Mexico. So part of the work that we showed in WISIS and as a case that we presented for the WISIS prizes was the Iniciativa del Chico Walis, which is an initiative that is from community network that is based in Mexico, in Puebla, and it's a community network that was built by the Masewal and Tutunacu people, which was merely based on broadcasting, which is right here, as you can see. Let me present again so you can see the full screen. So these are the examples of best practices by community networks in the face of COVID-19. So I have gathered them in 4 principal topics, which are infrastructure strengthening, policy and regulation, local servers, and broadcasting. Some of them were already mentioned and also shared in the documentary, which I was very happy to see. In the case of broadcasting, for example, and some cases were also mentioned by the panelists, for example, the deployment of backhaul and fiber. So in the case of Latin America, this has been very similar. There has been an intensive deployment of nodes to connect the people that remain unconnected. This is still an issue because the 2.4 and 5 gigahertz band are right now very saturated. So we need new measures in order to get access to other frequencies in order to avoid the saturation of the bands. So this is one of the things that we have been facing in the intensive deployment of nodes. And because of this, some of the responses have been focused in the deployment of backhaul. For example, in the case of Canada, there are several community networks that have been able to deploy backhaul and fiber. In Ecuador, there was a deployment of HF radio, which is a technology that is very common for disaster and risk mitigation. And this technology is very useful for areas that are very, very distant from each other in order to share and connect rural and remote areas. So these are some of the examples. In the case of policy and regulation, things well, in the case of COVID-19 and also because of the context of the country, community networks have now access to the universal service funds. So thanks to this, there has been an increase of community networks in Argentina because they have been able now to deploy the infrastructure thanks to the Argentinian government. In Mexico, now we have access to the 10 gigahertz band as social operators. And this has been also a very important move because the 10 gigahertz band has helped us to face the issues of saturations for the deployment of nodes and the use of the internet, and the rural tribe window in the US. In the case of local servers, there have been different installations of local servers in Argentina, Mexico, Colombia, and Brazil, which are servers that can be accessed offline. And these servers are normally installed with educational content. So for communities that remain unconnected, there are still local networks where they can access and see content as Wikipedia or digital libraries, Khan Academy, or different educational content that is very, very useful for the communities. Also, these contents that are inside the local servers are usually in the local languages. And broadcasting, just to finish this small presentation, broadcasting was very essential to share information and to deny fake news, and also to share information in local languages. So many capsules were created with important information regarding COVID, and broadcasting was used in all of the countries that are mentioned in the repository. So it was a very important measure and a very important practice for the community networks in the face of COVID-19. So with this, I finish my small presentation. And thank you again very much for this opportunity. And I'm very happy to share this space with all of you. Thank you, Vladimir.
Thank you, Carla, very much. Let me just remind the community that APC has already been awarded the VSIS Prize contest in the past. We look forward to receiving more submissions, also from your side, Carla. And as you're mentioning, it's a short or a small presentation. We would like to provide you more space to continue bringing your community, your partners, your users at the VSIS Forum and discuss in more details of what is the impact of what you do. I also hope to see your colleague, Carla Velazquez, and please say hello to the rest of your team. Thank you all very much. We are coming to the end of this session. We went a bit beyond, but this is something that I'm sure that our audience will appreciate. I would like to thank to all of our panelists today. We're continuing to work with you in the future. Please come back to us. We are trying to be as proactive as you see as possible, but also don't hesitate to come back and actually approach us so that we can see how we can better promote your work. Once again, it's been great to be working with you since November last year. I also look forward to continue working with you in the future. Let me just remind all of you that today is the last day of the VSIS Forum, and at 2 o'clock Geneva time, this is in 15 minutes, the closing ceremony of the VSIS Forum 2021 will start. I invite you to join us and hear about the highlights and the outcomes of what was happening since January 2021, with more than 250 virtual sessions, workshops, interviews being held. You have also contributed to some of them. Thank you again for scaling up the VSIS stock taking and its different activities, including the coronavirus response ICT case repository. So once again, thank you for being with us today. My name is Vladimir Stankovic. Greetings from Geneva. I would like to invite the moderator to play the closing video.